Hey guys, AnaFan97203 here. So today, as you can tell from the title, I'm making a New Vegas theory. I thought it was appropriate since I had made a theory based in Fallout 3, Fallout 4, and Fallout 76, even though the 76 theory was more or less just speculation on what the game's going to be, not really any theories based around gameplay or anything. Nonetheless, I thought it'd be fitting if I made a New Vegas theory, and I went around searching for a while, trying to find something good to make a theory out of. For a while, I tried to figure something out with Joshua Graham, but that never came to fruition. Then I tried Mr. House, and that didn't turn out too well. And I tried with the Western Brotherhood, my theories on what'll happen to them, but that didn't. That just wasn't a very interesting theory, honestly. So we came up with this, which is who will win in the canon, in the lore. Who is the winner, the NCR or the Legion? Now keep in mind, I'm not asking who wins the Battle of Hoover Dam. That's based completely on what the player does. And sure, you can argue what the good ending is to New Vegas, but I'm trying to keep away from that for the most part. At least for the beginning half of this video. The second half is going to talk about that a lot more, but the beginning half, we're not going to talk about that. So this is who will win the war, and there's a couple of things we need to keep in mind. First of all, we're going to base the ending off of what Bethesda says. Not really says. What Bethesda has implied that canon endings are like, and I'll get into that with the second half of this video, so hold your horses with that. But more importantly, what the courier does affects the city of New Vegas, the Strip, right? It affects that area a lot. That's kind of it. You see, after the Battle of Hoover Dam, we're looking at an independent New Vegas under Mr. House, New California Republic New Vegas, or a New Vegas under the Legion control. But no matter what, although there are important things in this area, it doesn't matter who has control in the end for who wins the war, because all of the independent endings and the Mr. House endings and such, those don't affect the war at all. That just means that this area didn't matter to the NCR, to the Legion. Well, if the Legion wins, sure, they gain some territory, but they still logically should lose the war. We'll get onto that later. Then with the NCR, if they gain the area, well, it helped them a little, sure, but in the end, that's not what's going to deliver the killing blow. Not at all, actually. So logically, who is going to win this war? And this is really interesting. This all comes down to why. Who and why. Let me explain. The NCR fights for their nation. Their nation is built upon basic principles designed after the United States of America. The pre-war U.S., really. And although, sure, the NCR is bureaucratic and it's obnoxious and, good God, they need to stop wishing for a nuclear winter. It's so annoying. It doesn't, none of that is what we're concerned with here, because despite all their bureaucracy and how slow they can be, they have longevity. If you take out their president, their treasurer, a bunch of their veterans, you just start slaughtering a bunch of NCR people, they can still fall back on their basic ideals and their backup plans and put somebody else as president, no problem. And everyone will support him, not because they love him, but because of the basic ideas behind the NCR. The Legion is different. The Legion is not built up around the basic ideas that founded Rome, though it likes to pretend it is. No. Speak to anyone who's in the Legion while you play the game, or even just observe how people act and what they do throughout Legion territory. You're going to realize something pretty quick. The soldiers there don't fight because they love Rome. They fight because they support Caesar. And at first, you're like, okay, that just means he's a strong leader, right? And sure, when you first start the game, if you were to find this out, you'd think, wow, this Legion is going to steamroll the NCR. But anyone who's played through New Vegas, even if they haven't actually beaten it, just gotten 3/4 of the way through, they can tell you for a fact, no, the Legion's not going to have Caesar for much longer. The player can do what they can to help Caesar. The player can kill Caesar. The player can let Caesar die of his illnesses. The player doesn't even have to do anything with it. Caesar will die. And although it may take a couple of decades, though I don't think it'll take nearly that long, Caesar will die. He's going to die probably very soon due to the fact that he's ill, that he's getting old, and he's got a lot of people who want him dead. Fact of the matter is, Caesar's not going to be around for much longer. And after he's gone, well, who do the legions support? They can't continue to support their basic ideals, because their basic ideal is just, Caesar is powerful, we love Caesar. Okay, so like Atlantius maybe. Well, he's a good military leader, but leading the legion per se is not his strong suit. It feels like he wouldn't be able to sustain everyone so much as he would be able to just keep them fighting things. And a lot of people would say, well, he's no Caesar, let's put somebody else in charge, and you're going to get your infighting and such. And well, I just, next thing you know it, Caesar's legion is fighting itself, and the NCR just has to sit back and watch and wait until they're all so weak and then steamroll through. And this is ignoring all the factions that would much rather help the NCR than the Legion. I mean, in the game, there's a ton of factions who would much rather side with the NCR than they would the Legion, even without the Courier's help. Trying to get them to work with the Legion in all legitimacy, that'd be practically impossible, but they might be willing to work with the NCR. So, okay. This must mean that the NCR wins, right? Well, although logically, the NCR should win. The NCR has the longevity, and in the end, the Legion is just going to fall apart to infighting, to overextension, even, with how far they're trying to extend themselves. The Legion's just not going to survive for long enough to actually take down the NCR. But with that said, Fallout hasn't always exactly followed logic. I mean, there's some kooky things in the Fallout series, like, absolutely ridiculous, like radiation, instead of killing you, turning you into a ghoul. That's not how that works at all. Sure, you can say maybe that was part FEV, but there's still some stuff in Fallout that just makes no sense. I'm not even talking about just gameplay stuff, like, oh man, I got shot, let me inject something that will most definitely, if it actually has all the nutrients I need to instantly heal a bullet wound, will just blast my arm open from injecting it, but whatever. So, yeah. Bethesda is not known to follow logic. So, although we're going to keep that in mind, which ending to New Vegas is canon, and we're going to use that along with the logic to decide who wins the war, and in the end, which faction controls both California, Nevada, New Mexico, that whole area. Which of these two factions controls it? So, which ending is canon? Well, obviously, Bethesda has not said, and none of their games have said either, considering the only one that came after is Fallout 4, and in Fallout 4, nobody discusses Las Vegas post-war under the control of either faction or under its own control or under Mr. House. Nobody even mentions it that I recall. They certainly don't talk about which faction won. So, how do we figure it out? Well, for this, we're going to have to use some deductive reasoning, and more importantly, we're just going to have to use the trends of what Bethesda has decided before, what they've kind of figured out in the past, right? Now, for this, we're going to have to look to Fallout 4 a lot, but for two different main reasons. First of all, we're going to have to look to Fallout 4 to figure out how the canon ending of Fallout 3 works, and then we have to look to Fallout 4 and see what Bethesda thinks protagonists should be doing to then figure out what the Courier most likely did in canon. And keep in mind, Obsidian may have a different idea for our canon ending, but Bethesda are the ones in control here, so they're the ones we're going to have to be working off of. Even though, Obsidian might go for more of a free New Vegas or something like that, that's not what we're going to go and look at here for Bethesda. So, based on what we hear from different characters who had traveled to DC or have been from DC, we can tell two things about the Capital Wasteland during the events of Fallout 4. First of all, the Purifier was a success. It was turned on, it was activated, yay. And second of all, the water that it pumped out was pure water. It was not poisoned water, it was not anti-mutation water, it was pure water. Now, at first, if you just played through Fallout 3 without thinking and you ignored pretty much everything that happened with the Enclave, you're going to say, well, that's just how the game ends. Buddy, first of all, you got the good ending, good job. Second of all, that's not how the game has to end. At one point, you're sent to the Enclave HQ in the Capital Wasteland. This is something... Spoiler warning, first of all, for exactly how the ending of Fallout 3 plays out. This is something that is a very interesting moment in Fallout 3. Because when you get to the end of that segment, you end up talking to the President of the United States at the time. He wants you to put something in the water that would kill everyone who is mutated in any way, shape, and/or form. The idea here is not only would it kill super mutants, but it would also kill everyone in the wasteland who has encountered a lot of radiation, which is pretty much everyone. You see, the Enclave at this point haven't had to deal with the constant radiation, poverty, poor nutrition, dirty water that everyone else has. They don't have to deal with any of that at all. Both in Fallout 2 and 3, the Enclave kind of get to do their own thing and live pre-war lives underground and out on oil rigs and whatnot, and then show up and kill everyone in the wasteland when they please. It's a whole different situation. Both Fallout 2 and 3, the Enclave wants to control everything like they did before the war, because the Enclave is the remnants of the US government. So they want to control everything, and that means they got to get rid of everyone who's there who might be an obstacle. And President Eden says that he wants you to put this thing in the Purifier when it's activated, that will then both kill all super mutants and everything like that, but it'll also at least make everyone who's been highly irradiated extremely sick, if not kill them. It's implied that it would kill them as well, but worst case, it does make them sick if they just drink a little bit of the water. So, okay. So if you were to put this in the water, it would make everyone sick. So is that what happens? Is that what happens afterward? Well, Broken Steel, I mean, of course, if you pick that ending, then it would. But in Fallout 4, the people who went down there and drank the water say, they claim that it was pure water. They talk about how clean it was. That doesn't sound like the kind of water that would have been poisoned by the Enclave. That sounds like the kind of water that would have been nice and clean, meaning that it was the good ending that Bethesda picked. Okay, so Fallout 3, we got the good ending. So now what about Fallout 4? What does that say? What is the way the game is put together? What does that say about protagonists? Now, again, spoiler warning, this time for Fallout 4, not Fallout 3. But it's actually really surprising. See, a lot of people have complained how you can't be evil in Fallout 4, and I'm one of the people who will constantly complain about that. I really miss being able to do what I did in Fallout 3 New Vegas, where I can take my character, turn him into Satan of the Wasteland, and do as I please. no way to really be an evil character in Fallout 4. You can do evil things, but you can't truly be evil. I might make a video later about that. But this is something that's carried all throughout the game. I mean, it's absolutely inescapable. The only time you can even start to be evil is during the Nuka World DLC, and even then, when you're talking to people, you still don't seem evil. You seem like you're a good guy trying to pretend to be evil. It's your protagonist just is such a Boy Scout. Well, what does this tell us about what Bethesda thinks the protagonists are at their core? Well, first of all, it tells us that when Bethesda is building a protagonist, their first thought is the players are going to want him to be the good guy who saves the wasteland. Then we'll add in like evil stuff you can do later or whatever. Obviously, that means that Bethesda thinks the protagonists are good. They are the good guy. They are the one saving the wasteland. They are the one helping people. That's just how it is. I mean, you can look at Skyrim and see the same thing. In Skyrim, it seems pretty clear that Dovahkiin is supposed to be, at least to some level, a hero character. Okay, so protagonists are supposed to be good. The Fallout 3 ending was canon good. You got the good ending. So, clearly you're supposed to get the good ending. Well, what's the good ending in New Vegas? Well, there's two endings that I would say can be argued to be good endings. First of all is the obvious one of a free New Vegas, where it's off, it can do its own things, it's independent, right? I would say that's probably your main good ending. I would say there's a good chance that that's our canon ending. But the caveat with that is that then it leaves us only to the logical conclusion, because then the game doesn't decide either faction winning. Same with the Mr. House ending, really. So then, okay, clearly the NCR must win based on logic. Okay, well, what's the other good ending? Well, I would say it's the NCR ending because they're not the bad guys. The way that the story is framed, the NCR aren't good guys, but they're fighting the bad guys, which leads them to feel more like the good guys. So the NCR are bureaucratic, they're kind of jackasses, and a lot of their members can be, they can be kind of assholes. But they're the good guys because they're fighting a group who are slavers. They crucify people, they burn down cities, they kill the innocent. And so when the NCR decides that they're going to go to war with them, I mean, that kind of makes them the good guys. They're antagonizing the bad guys. They must be the good guys then, right? So even if you wouldn't say that they're the good guys per se, out of the two possible faction endings, it's the only one that could be considered a good ending, fitting with what Bethesda seems to want the canon endings for their protagonists to be. Clearly, the Legion just can't win. So what's this leave us with? Well, I think it's pretty clear at this point that no matter how you put it, the Legion is just not gonna win. They didn't have a chance realistically, and with how Bethesda framed protagonists, especially in Fallout 4, the Legion was just doomed to fail. Which, personally, I think is a good thing. One less massive slaver tribe out there. It's good for the wasteland, but there's no way to say for sure until we get a New Vegas 2, which I don't see happening too soon, considering we've got 76 on the way. But that's just my theory, that the NCR would win the war. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think that the Legion win? Do you guys think that neither side will win and Mr. House will just come out and wipe them all out? Do you think the Brotherhood of Steel will somehow win? Do you think the Enclave would come back and win? Do you think nobody would win? The Courier kills everyone? Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I don't... What? But no, tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Tell me who you guys would think. And, if you guys have any ideas on what exactly matters to who wins, go ahead and put those in the comment section below as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, at least somewhat, or maybe found it comedic, entertaining, learned something, I don't know. Or maybe just now you want to go back and play some more New Vegas. I know I do. Hope you enjoyed it at least a little bit. Lick and subscribble, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.